You are leaking. Right now. Every single day, and you don't even know it. Something is draining out of you. Your focus, your drive, your fire. And the world around you was specifically designed to make sure you never stop leaking long enough to realize what you've lost. You wonder why you wake up without ambition. You wonder why your goals feel like fantasies. You wonder why other men seem to carry a certain presence, a gravity that you can't quite name but can absolutely feel. You've told yourself it's confidence. You've told yourself it's genetics. You've told yourself some men are just built differently. But what if it isn't that at all? What if the difference between the man you are and the man you want to be is energy? Raw, retained, redirected energy. This is not a new idea. This is an ancient one. And the fact that it has been buried, mocked, and dismissed in the modern world should tell you everything about who benefits from you staying depleted. Think about the last time you felt truly locked in. Clear mind, sharp eyes, chest full, voice steady. That feeling has a source. And when you understand what that source is and what drains it, your entire life changes. The ancient world knew something that the modern world has worked very hard to make you forget. The most powerful men in history, warriors, emperors, philosophers, artists, many of them practiced deliberate conservation of their sexual energy. They understood that the same force that creates life, when retained and redirected, becomes the force that creates greatness. Semen retention was not a fringe idea. It was a philosophy of power. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, wrote in his private journals, never meant for the public, these words: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Power over your mind. But what controls the mind more than anything else? Desire, lust, the compulsive pull toward immediate pleasure. Marcus watched it destroy brilliant men around him, senators reduced to slaves of their own appetites, generals who could command armies but could not command themselves. And he understood the mechanism clearly. A man who cannot govern his desire cannot govern anything. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest minds in human history, never married, never indulged, and openly credited his celibacy with his creative power. He believed that sexual energy, when conserved, transmuted directly into intellectual and creative force. He called it the source of his greatest inventions. Pythagoras, the philosopher and mathematician, required his students to practice sexual abstinence as a condition of studying with him. Not as punishment, as preparation. Because he knew that a mind saturated with lust cannot hold truth. Napoleon Hill, in Think and Grow Rich, one of the most studied books on success ever written, dedicated an entire chapter to what he called sexual transmutation. He studied 500 of the most successful men in American history and found a pattern. The men who had learned to harness and redirect their sexual energy were the ones who built empires. This knowledge is for protection, not destruction. Now, let's talk about what is actually happening in your body and mind, because this is where it gets real. Masturbation and pornography have been normalized to the point where questioning them feels radical. But let's look at what actually happens in the hours and days after ejaculation. Your dopamine system crashes.
The same neurological reward pathway that drives ambition, motivation, and pursuit flatlines. Your testosterone levels drop. Your prolactin spikes, the hormone associated with satisfaction, sedation, and withdrawal from competition. Your brain, for a period of time, is chemically similar to a man who has just eaten a massive meal and wants to do nothing but sleep. Now, multiply that by how often it's happening. And then ask yourself honestly how much of your potential has been spent in that crash. How many mornings woke up foggy? How many workouts were half effort? How many conversations lacked the edge they could have had? How many opportunities slipped past a version of you that was running on empty? This is not shame. This is mechanics. Drop this in the comments. A man who cannot retain his energy cannot build anything worth keeping. The ancient yogic traditions called this energy ojas, the vital essence. They taught that it took 40 days of digested food to produce a single drop of this essence, and that its loss, especially through unconscious compulsive release, was the single greatest drain on a man's vitality. The Taoists called it Jing, the foundational life force. They taught that a man is born with a finite reservoir of this energy, and how he manages it determines the length and quality of his life. These are not superstitions. Modern science is beginning to catch up. Studies on testosterone, zinc depletion, dopamine receptor sensitivity all point towards the same conclusion that ancient wisdom already knew. Frequent compulsive release depletes you. Retention restores you. Now, here is the dark psychology, and pay attention to this because this is the part they don't want you to understand. The pornography industry is not entertainment. It is a depletion machine. It was designed, refined, and algorithmically optimized to create compulsive behavior. Every element, the escalation, the novelty, the endless scroll, is engineered to keep you returning, not for your pleasure, for your addiction. Because an addicted man is a predictable man, and a predictable man can be sold to, managed, and controlled. They gave you a free drug, and the price is your power. Drop this in the comments. Pornography is not freedom. It is the cage they forgot to lock because they knew you would stay. Marcus Aurelius wrote constantly about the tyranny of appetite. He described men who believed they were free, who had wealth, status, liberty, but who were in reality the most enslaved of all, because they were slaves to their own cravings. A man ruled by his desires, Aurelius wrote, is a man ruled by whoever controls access to those desires. Think about what you are actually giving away when you engage in compulsive masturbation. Not just energy, not just hormones, you are giving away the tension that drives you, the hunger that pushes you out of bed, the edge that makes you competitive. Every time you release artificially, before that energy has been transmuted into something, you are short-circuiting the engine of your own ambition. The men who built things, who created, invented, conquered, led, they were not comfortable men. They were on fire. And that fire needed fuel. Your retained energy is that fuel. The practical application is not complicated, but it requires honesty. Start by tracking your patterns. How often are you engaging in pornography or masturbation? What triggers it? Boredom? Stress? Loneliness? The trigger is always telling you something about a need that is going unmet. A man who is fully engaged in building something rarely feels the compulsive pull toward cheap stimulation. Because the real thing, real pursuit, real creation, real challenge is more satisfying than any artificial substitute. When the urge comes, and it will come, redirect it immediately. Not suppress it, redirect it. Go train, go write, go build, go make a call you have been avoiding. Go work on the thing that matters. Feed that energy into your mission rather than releasing it into nothing. Drop this in the comments. My energy is my currency. I choose where I spend it. Now, let's talk about what retention actually feels like, because if you have never experienced it, you need to know what you are working toward. In the first few days, you may feel restless, irritable. The compulsive pattern will push back. This is normal. This is withdrawal from artificial stimulation. Push through it.
By the end of the first week, something begins to shift. Your mind gets quieter, not empty, cleaner. Thoughts become more organized. Focus sharpens. You start noticing things you walked past before. By 2 weeks, the energy becomes physical. You move differently. You speak differently. Your voice carries more weight. Your eyes hold contact longer. Men notice. Women notice. But more importantly, you notice. You begin to feel, for perhaps the first time in years, what it is like to be operating at your actual capacity. This is what Marcus Aurelius was protecting. This is what Tesla was channeling. This is what every ancient tradition was pointing toward. And here is the deepest layer, the one that most people never reach in this conversation. Semen retention is not ultimately about willpower. It is about identity. It is about deciding what kind of man you are. A man who is governed by every impulse that passes through him, or a man who looks at his impulses, acknowledges them, and then chooses his response. That gap between impulse and response, that is where your freedom lives. Stoicism, the philosophy Marcus Aurelius lived by, is built entirely on that gap. The Stoics did not believe you could control the world. They believed you could control your response to the world. And a man who controls his responses cannot be manipulated by anyone who tries to exploit his impulses. Drop this in the comments. Between my impulse and my action is a space. In that space is my power. Carl Jung spoke about the concept of the shadow, the parts of yourself you have not integrated, not examined, not brought into the light. The compulsive sexual behaviors many men struggle with are often shadow expressions, not signs of weakness, signs of unmet needs and unexamined drives that have been pushed underground and are now emerging in distorted forms. Jung would tell you, do not simply suppress the energy. Integrate it, understand it, ask what it is really asking for, because beneath the compulsive urge is almost always a hunger for something real, for creation, for connection, for mastery, for meaning. Give yourself the real thing, and the compulsion loses its power. This is the work, not the cold shower, not the app, not the streak counter, though all of those can help. The real work is becoming a man whose life is so full of genuine purpose that artificial pleasure cannot compete. Drop this in the comments. I am not fighting my desires. I am redirecting them into something that lasts. Now feel this. The old you is dead, the one who gave his fire away for free. The one who sat in the dopamine crash, wondering why life felt gray. The one who watched his potential drain into nothing and called it relaxation. That man is done.
You belong to no one, not to the algorithm that was designed to keep you returning, not to the industry that profits from your depletion, not to the version of yourself that chose the easy release over the difficult becoming. You belong to your mission, to your legacy, to the man Marcus Aurelius, Nikola Tesla, and every great tradition in human history was pointing toward, the man who governs himself completely. That man is not a myth. He is not reserved for the elite or the gifted. He is what you become when you stop leaking.